Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 367.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
Hello, everyone out there. Glad that you guys are choosing to join us. I think you are going to enjoy what we are about to record and put down. Feel free to type in the chat. Let me know what you think about marketing and business. Make sure your questions are there. In fact, Molly, we already have a "Ooh, we love Molly."
Oh, well, I love you guys.
That's pretty funny. I mean, we haven't even gotten to that far, and there's already love for Molly inside the chat, which I think is awesome. Feel free to invite some friends. Hey, George, I see you. Thanks you guys for being here. So you know what we're doing. We're going to be recording yet another episode of the Cashflow Diary podcast. This one will be coming out faster than the other ones that you heard from the ones that you heard this week, simply because we have something special towards the end, and you will understand what that's all about here just momentarily. With all that being said, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. Make sure that you have your pens and pads ready, because I know what you are about to learn and listen to is something you're going to want to remember, dare I say repeat, really, really often. All right. You ready, Molly?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Excellent. Just making sure that your audio is coming through perfectly and everything looks like it is. All right. So there's going to be 3 seconds of silence, and then here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Diary podcast. I'm your host, Jay Massey, and I'm glad that you're here today, because what you are going to go through today is, dare I say, one of the most important topics for your business. More importantly than that, you're going to meet one of the most important people that I have ran into when it comes to being able to become more effective as someone who builds cash flow. You're like, what on earth could this possibly be about? Well, here's the thing. I don't know if you've realized, it doesn't really how good of a technician you are if nobody knows about it. If no one knows that you can make the best single family house rental on the planet or on the block, guess what? You never get a tenant. You never get an investor. You never actually get the house. If you are a widget maker, I don't really care what it is, but if nobody knows, it doesn't matter. You're never going to make any money, because nobody knows who you are. Nobody likes you. Nobody trusts you. Nobody wants to give you money to solve their problems for them. However, what if you could learn from someone who had the ability to teach you how to do that? See, here's what I want you to understand about today's guest. By listening to what she has taught me, we were able to have some absolutely phenomenal, record-breaking lead generation and success that follows. For example, before knowing this person, we probably generated maybe 4,000 leads a year, which some of you are like, wow, that's pretty good. Well, now, mind you, after knowing this person and being able to actually implement not even everything, but everything that my brain could absorb, we went to 37,000 leads a year. That's a lot more people. That's a lot more exposure. And that changes your business. So what am I saying? I'm saying if you are right now saying to yourself, Jay, I would totally do real estate. I would totally do my business if I could have more investors, more capital, more leads, more business, more customers. If I could just get the word out, I hope that you are ready to listen, to learn, and I know you're eventually going to love Molly Pittman. Molly, you there?
Jay, yes. Thank you so much for having me. That was a really nice intro. It's awesome to see your success. And that has nothing to do with me other than the education. So props to you for always implementing fast.
Yes. It's like the only thing I know how to do is implement quickly. I wouldn't know how to do it any other way, but I definitely appreciate you taking the time here. I kind of feel like I'm letting everybody know my secret weapon, so to speak, right now, but that's okay. There's enough Molly to share, right?
Absolutely. And I think you usually implement faster than things can come out of my mouth.
I do try. I'm gonna see how fast we can make that happen. Now, this being your first time here, though, I have to ask you the exact same question I tend to ask everybody else their first time here. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. I tend to look at today's entrepreneurs a lot like yesterday's superheroes. You know, Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, etc. And I think entrepreneurs and superheroes have a ton of things in common. Chief among them is the fact that occasionally we envision ourselves flying around and saving our customers with our products and services, etc. But also, like a superhero, an entrepreneur has a beginning. We all do. So if you think about, say, Spider-Man, for example, there was a time he was just a college kid. That's kind of all he was doing. He's going around, going to school, getting good grades, and he was taking photos to make sure he could eat. That was it. And then one day he gets bit by the spider, and now he has this new ability where he has to choose to use his newfound talent for good or for evil. So my question to you, ma'am, is before your association with digital marketer, before you becoming what I will call you the premier Facebook guru, the premier direct response marketer currently available to all of us on the planet with one of the leading organizations, i.e. digital marketer. Before all of that, what we want to know is, who is Molly Pittman?
Oh, wow. That's a great question and a great story. You put me on the spot, Jay.
Good.
Who is Molly Pittman? I think I've always strived to help others, but I've always focused on how can I be a high performance individual and a high performance individual that's a part of high performance teams. Right. So everything from sports to my career to even my family and friends, that's been my goal. How can I best serve other people? How can I be a high performance individual? How can I be a part of groups of people that are really doing something to change the world? And I know that a lot of people say things like that, and it might sound corny, but it's true. And that's why digital marketer has been the perfect home for me. I'm surrounded by some of the smartest people that work way harder than I do. And we're able to change the economy and double businesses. And that's why I wake up in the morning. But I had that drive, about other things in life too, before marketing was my thing. So,
okay. What were some of those other things? I'm going to ask because I have to.
Oh, totally. So I played soccer for 16 years. Sports were huge for me. Ran cross country, loved being a part of teams, loved being competitive, loved pushing myself. Right. I worked at a bourbon distillery after college. Same thing there. Loved my team. Loved learning about bourbon. Loved doing marketing for bourbon. So that was a wonderful opportunity for me. In college, I took an entrepreneurship class my senior year. There were 10 of us, and we created actual business plans and pitched them to, fake investors. So that was really cool. Gave me a lot of experience. So just being able to be the best I can and be a part of groups of people that are like-minded.
That makes sense. Now, just because a friend of mine, I've recently have been exposed to this sport called soccer that apparently a whole lot of people like.
It's a thing.
It seems to be this thing. I kind of grew up differently than soccer, so I'm curious. But now that I'm learning it, what position were you the goalie?
Oh, so I was the center striker. So my goal or my position was to score goals.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Of course. And of course you mastered that, right?
Yeah, I was in there. I was scrappy. I think I still hold the goal record at my high school, which was pretty cool, but I loved playing soccer.
Okay. All right. All right. I get this. Now, take us through this journey, because again, every superhero / entrepreneur has this journey where you start out, and we hear where you're starting from. How do you go from that to where you are today, and the positions and definitely the amount of responsibility that you have, and the massive budgets that you're in charge of for advertising? How does that transition happen? Because most people I know don't go from bourbon distillery to marketer. So there's a story there.
Absolutely. And I love sharing my story. I hope it can inspire you guys. It's been pretty interesting. So I graduated college. I'm from Kentucky. I went to a really small school, and I was working at the bourbon distillery, and I realized, wow, Molly, there's something else out there, right? Kentucky's great. There's not much to do. Like, I got to get somewhere else. I knew if I could put myself in a higher paced environment around other people that were like me, that something would happen, right? I didn't know what it was, but I knew something would happen. And so I moved to Austin with like a few $1,000s in my bank account, no job, no plan. And I was scrolling through Craigslist. I was bartending at the time to pay my bills. I'd only been here a few weeks. Scrolling through Craigslist and found a paid internship, a paid marketing internship. And this is really before Digital Marketer was Digital Marketer. This was when Ryan Dice, the CEO and co-founder, he basically had 15 businesses in this incubator in one office sharing all of these resources. It was absolute mayhem. But really cool. Such a cool environment to be in. And so he hired about 12 interns. He put us all in one room, and we basically went through this 6 to 8 week program. And we were split into teams, and we would have to come up with business plans for future businesses that Ryan wanted to start. So for example, Survival Life, which is one of our sister companies, we actually came up with business plans for that property before it was a thing. None of us knew anything about digital marketing. We didn't know what we were doing really much about business, but they were looking for a few things. Who could be a leader? Who could research and figure out answers to questions, who was creative, who was good at public speaking. So we would come up with these business plans and then present them to the company. And week by week, it was kind of like a TV show almost. People were let go, right? Which was interesting. So it was a bit of a high pressure situation, but we knew that at the end, a few people would be selected for full-time jobs. So at the end, I was selected, which was great. And I started doing social media for Digital Marketer and for some of the brands that Ryan owned. Eventually, Digital Marketer really spun out into its own thing. Now we occupy this office. We have a little over 50 employees, but over about 4.5 years, I went from social media to, hey, Ryan, can I have a few $100s? I want to test these things called Facebook ads. And he bought me every course out there on media buying. He sat there with me. He helped write copy. I mean, Ryan's been pivotal in my success. Also, our president, Richard. So I was really allowed to test and learn. And yeah, I've become the VP of marketing, but mostly I just love teaching you guys. So that is my journey.
Well, and I definitely appreciate the fact that you love teaching, because I love asking questions. Now, you do realize you said you were from Kentucky, but you don't play basketball. That sounds strange right there, but that's okay.
You watch basketball. My hand-eye coordination, terrible. Love basketball. Love the Cats. When we lost a few days ago, that was a sad day for Molly. So
okay, all right. I'm just like, wow, Kentucky, and didn't say basketball. That seems strange. But aside from all of that, what I like about what you said there, and I hope a number of you that are out there building your business here, is that oftentimes I'm going to take a stab and say that you didn't expect to be doing what you're doing now. What was your degree in?
Business marketing.
Okay.
Really a foundational, right?
Right.
So, I mean, what we do is marketing, and I had those foundational pieces, but nothing about the online world, right?
Right. And then even if they did teach you something about the online world, by the time you got a chance to apply it, it's probably obsolete. Because it's been my experience that Facebook seems to change every 30 days or faster. And by the time it's in print, it's no longer relevant. But yet they were searching they didn't care what you knew. They just cared, would you be willing to go find out? That's what I'm hearing.
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't about my current knowledge. It was, are you willing to research? Are you willing to try? Are you willing to fail? Are you willing to pass down your knowledge? That's what they were looking for. And that's what we still look for in all of our new hires.
Got it. Now, you mentioned something that made some people cringe right there. And I know it because you said fail. That's like the F word. And a lot of people don't want to do that, experience that. But I'm going to ask a question. Do you think your experience with, say, soccer and sports and cross country, and I'm just going to make an assumption, you didn't win every game, you didn't score every goal, but learning to deal with that helped you in this regard?
Oh, totally. I think facing failure and realizing that you can learn from it and grow from it is great. And there's no fear. I'm not scared to fail. About 90% of the things that I test and try here at Digital Marketer don't work the first time.
Whoa. Hold on. You got to say that again because somebody was not paying attention. What'd you say?
About 90% of the tests and new things that I try and the team tries here at Digital Marketer, it does not work the first time we do it.
I love it. But yet, so what would you say to those entrepreneurs listening that go, well, I'm going to give this 30 days, and if I can't figure it out by then clearly it doesn't work?
Yeah, honestly, I think that's why most people ultimately fail, right? Or they say that advertising doesn't work or Facebook ads don't work is because they're not willing to tweak and they're not willing to push every day and realize that you can be successful with this stuff, but there's not a timeline on it, right?
No.
It could be 2 days from now. It could be 6 months from now.
Right.
But what it's about is testing and trying new things and realizing that if it fails, it's not bad because you got the data and you can learn why it didn't work. And it gets you one step closer to what does work.
Indeed. But Molly, someone is saying it right now, but failing, it hurts. And more importantly, especially in the realm of Facebook ads, that costs money.
Right.
So I don't have all this money to fail. But I want it to work. So what would you say to that person?
I think it's about being smart with your budget and realizing that a portion of your budget, especially when you're starting, should be for R&D, right? It's going to be used for research. It's going to be used to acquire data. So it's more about setting expectations for yourself, right? If you're willing to spend $500, not all of that initial budget is going to go towards, customer acquisition. Not all of it's going to work. So really just having the mindset of, I'm going to spend a big chunk of this initial budget to test stuff. Because that's what it takes. If it was, if everyone who set up a Facebook ad, if they were all successful, then I wouldn't have a job, right? If it was that easy, I wouldn't have a job.
Right.
But we are selling to humans. We are not selling to robots. We're not trying to trick some sort of algorithm with inside of Facebook. You are selling to human beings and you have to figure out how to resonate with them. So it's really about setting the expectation that I am going to have to test. I am going to have to try different things.
Now, you just said it yourself, though, because there's another person who's listening right now, and they're a little suspect in the sense that, well, if you just said if it always worked, then you would be out of a job. If everyone could do it, etc. So why is it so important to be willing to pass down the knowledge and information that you've gained and learned?
Because it helps other people. Because I see, you at our event a few weeks ago, and I get my big Jermaine hug, and I realized that Me passing down my knowledge has changed your life. And I met your daughter last year, and I'm sure it's changed her life and your wife. And that's why I do this stuff, because it's the information, it's information that I went through that taught me how to do this. Right. Because it is difficult and it is confusing. And sometimes you just want step by step checklists and someone to tell you what to do. And so passing down the knowledge and knowing that I can help double businesses, that I can help grow the economy. That's why I do this stuff.
Yep. And I appreciate it, but you've said this a couple of times, and I'm sure people are wondering, when you say double business, what does that actually mean? And do you really mean double business? Because I know someone's listening like, did she just say double business? Because that would be great.
Yeah, so we set a mission statement at Digital Marketer, and the mission is to double the size of 10,000 businesses. And by double, we mean double in revenue. So we wanted something specific and actionable, and we wanted to, really put our flag in the sand for something that we feel like if we can double the revenue of that many businesses, think about how many new jobs that's created, right? Think about, putting food on the table for these families. So that's our goal. Our goal is to produce actionable content that, if implemented, can double the size of your business.
I love the words "if implemented." That was like big old air quotes, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not doing you any good if the information stays in your brain, right? There has to be action.
Got it. So for those that might not know, and specifically, Molly, what I would love for you to answer, there's a number of people who have a real estate bent that are listening, and not everybody wants to use real estate. Many people just want to build their cash flow using traditional business, and they're all welcome here. But I want to talk to the real estate people just for a second. More specifically, I want you to talk to them and tell them why they need to be doing more marketing, and specifically looking at online marketing as a way to make that happen. What have you seen and witnessed when people are marketing these higher ticket items and all these things that traditionally people go, that won't work for me?
Absolutely. I think there are a few things. I mean, online marketing has made marketing more accessible for smaller businesses, right? And that's what I love about it. And there are a few reasons. If say you decide to buy a billboard in your local community,
now we're talking.
Right. And I don't know, maybe you pay 10 grand for that billboard. Prices are going to vary based off of the location and where you live. But you're investing a big chunk of money in this huge billboard, right?
Sure.
And there's no testing there. Like, you're going to choose one time what messaging and what imagery you're going to put on that big billboard. There's a lot of risk involved, right?
Yeah.
You also can't really track the results.
Nope.
Right? I mean, maybe someone calls or comes to your store or visits your website and contacts you. Hey, I saw your billboard. But unless they tell you, you have no way to track those results, right? And then again, back to the cost. The cost is really high. So I look at, traditional forms of advertising, right? Billboards, or maybe a TV commercial or a radio ad. And first I think about cost, right? It's very, very expensive. And with platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Google, it's expensive if you scale, right? But
Sure.
You control the budget. So you can start with as little as $5 a day. So the cost risk is much lower because you have control, right? If you run $10 in ads and it's not working the way you would like, you can pause and you can create a new campaign. You're not locked into this $10,000 billboard, right? You also have insane metrics that you can look at inside of these platforms. The demographics of the people that are visiting, how long they're staying, how many times they've seen your ads. You can, control, I just want to show this ad to people in this zip code, right?
Yep.
So you have a lot more insight, not only in terms of targeting and reaching the right people, right? I want people that live here that like this on Facebook. You can get really specific. It's not just, I want people that are driving down I-35 in Austin, Texas. Like the targeting there is pretty darn broad.
Right.
Like we don't even know that they live in Texas,
No.
right? Or in Austin. They could be driving through.
Right.
So the ability to target so specifically on these platforms is so beneficial for business owners. So really we look at risk. We look at the ability to turn on and off the campaigns. We look at the cost. We look at the ability to really specifically target people. We have the ability to retarget them, right?
Yes.
So if they click on our ad, they're then added to an audience that we can then retarget them with other ads. You're not retargeting people that see a billboard.
No.
I think that those key points are really beneficial. I mean, it's a new form of advertising that, although seems scary, has huge benefits for growing your business.
Yeah. What's funny about that when you say seems scary, that was one of the reasons I was so determined when I first got exposed to what you guys were making available, is because I wanted to limit my downside. Being a real estate guy, limiting our downside is something that we're constantly evaluating. We take risk, but it's measured. And I needed a way to do so, and leveraging the additional information and understanding exactly what you just said versus our traditional methods of, most real estate people, they're doing the yellow letters, they're doing direct mail. And I'm just like, that's a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of phone calls I didn't really want to have to be able to make the same thing happen. And then when you said if they're driving down I-35 in Austin, they might not even be from there. I was like, yeah, they're probably on their way to get some tacos.
Exactly. And what's funny, I'm not saying that things like direct mail are bad, right?
Right.
And they're something that we still use. But we use direct mail after we've proven an offer, we've proven messaging, we've proven targeting, who this person actually is, through an online medium, right? So we know it's something that's going to work because we've done the testing on a cheaper platform that's more flexible. Then it's like, whoa, this crushes. We should send a direct mail, right? It's another line of communication to these people. But when you're starting with the direct mail, you're starting with the billboard, it's so costly to ever get to that optimized ad. Right? The testing, the failing we were talking about.
Right.
If you have to pay for a billboard every time you want to test, that gets expensive.
Yeah.
So it's more of something we scale to, right? And start with these online platforms that give us the flexibility.
Yeah, I agree. I remember the first times I was like, you want me to spend money to, I love how you called failure R&D, by the way. Yeah, that, at the end of the day, and when you're like, spend money, even $10 a day to go out there and begin to gather that data, that seemed massive to me. Like, you want me to spend $300? That's $300 a month, Molly. What are you talking about? And I remember towards, we've worked our way up to the point to where there was times where in a month we would spend $30,000 to $40,000 just on Facebook promotions.
That's amazing.
Because at the end of the day, we learned how to make it worth it. So my question comes, because I know someone's thinking it, is, well, how long is it going to take me to learn all this, Molly? Because it seems overwhelming. I mean, and I think it's really important for everybody to understand how much marketing experience you had before starting this process.
Not much. So at the distillery,
Exactly.
we were doing like magazines, and that's where I really got the perspective of, are we just doing these to do them? Are they driving revenue? I have no idea.
Right.
So, I mean, I went to school for marketing, but honestly, I believe that education without implementation is almost pointless. I mean, I could read the textbook, I could take the test, I could go through the day-to-day of learning marketing in school, but I wasn't applying it. So I'm really not sure if I learned anything, honestly. And now I look at what I've learned from doing the past few years and from going through really action packed information and then producing it. That's been the best education.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, with all of the strategies, I'm going to ask this in two different ways. With all of the possibilities, because we were talking about Facebook, Twitter, Google, etc., of all the possible platforms and places today that are available to us, how is someone who's supposed to get started, like, to choose? You know, that's an interesting thing. We always, have choices. And that's what you're doing right now. You're choosing. You're choosing to listen, and I appreciate that. But more importantly, you're choosing where to invest your money, your time, your effort, your energy, your resources, your emotions. You make these choices all the time. I know it may feel like you don't know how to get started, but yet you do. You do know how to make a choice. You do know how to go through the process of elimination. And one of the most important questions that I have learned to ask over my years is compared to what? So just ask yourself, based upon what I'm doing right now, is there a better way? Can I? Or the thing that I'm considering. So some of you, you're looking at multiple properties, multiple investments, multiple businesses. Great. Make sure you have something to compare it to. Probably the most important thing at the end of the day that will help you make better decisions. Now, let's go find out how Molly said which platform you should choose.
Yeah, that's a great question. I always tell people to go where their market is.
Even Twitter? No, I'm messing with you right now.
Even if your market's on Twitter. Yeah. I mean, you have to go where your market is, but that's why I love Facebook. Most human beings have Facebook, right? Especially in English speaking countries. So it's usually a sure place to start unless you're targeting, people under the age of 18 because they don't like Facebook.
Got it.
Snapchat and Instagram and all the other crazy stuff these days, right?
Right.
But otherwise, I mean, my 95-year-old great grandmother, she has Facebook, right? Most people in the world, well, and not necessarily in the world, but in English speaking countries have Facebook. So that's usually the platform that I recommend. It's also easy to use. But again, it depends on, where your market is hanging out. It also depends on the goal of the particular campaign that you're wanting to run. So think about Google and Google AdWords. Think about that more like Yellow Pages, right? Someone types
Whoa. Yellow Pages? What's that? No, I'm just messing with you now.
Someone types something into the search bar and Google gives them an answer.
Right.
So if you're, a local plumber, it's probably good to have a presence on Google AdWords for people searching for plumbing services in your local area, right? That's a great place to start. But what's tough there is that you can't control the volume. So you can't manufacture more people searching for plumbers in Austin, Texas today, right?
No.
You just can't. So that's really where Facebook is more like a billboard that you have control of, right? So Facebook is, more disruptive marketing. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but you're showing up in people's timelines, right?
Yeah.
They didn't ask for it. They didn't search for it. You can target them based off of where they live and what they've liked on Facebook. So if you do a good job, you can show your ad to people who are actually interested. But it's important to keep that in mind. People say, Molly, should I use Facebook or Google? And I'm like, that's apples and oranges.
Right.
It really depends. I say you do both. Right. But you set the expectation for both and you understand how both of those platforms work and how they're very, very different.
Yes, indeed. Now, I remember that being one of the first things you said, but the second thing that comes right behind that is that online advertising has its own language. Like it's not even the same. And all of these acronyms can seem to be overwhelming when it comes down to just figuring out. Because, you could blow $500 in 30 minutes. Trust me, I've done it.
Ask me how I know.
Right, exactly. But how would you today guide someone to go, all right, this is performing, this is good, this keep going down this road, because you're onto something, you have more to learn, but you're onto something. This is something that you would continue with. How can they figure out the KPIs and metrics that they need to be paying attention to?
Yeah, that's a great question. It goes back to the goal of your campaign. So, for instance, if you're wanting to generate leads, right?
Yes.
So you want to generate leads for your business, that should be the metric that you're looking at, right? How much can you pay to acquire a lead for your business, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is a lead worth to you? So if it really depends on what is the specific goal of the campaign. Well, if the goal is to generate leads, then you need to be monitoring the cost per lead, right? There are other metrics that will help you sort of walk backwards to figure out maybe why the campaign's not working. And those are things like, what's your cost per click? How much are you paying on Facebook to get people to click over to your website? Okay, out of the number of people that visit your website, how many people are actually filling out the form, to opt in for the lead? So there's a conversion rate on the landing page. And sometimes it has nothing to do with the ad. Sometimes your page sucks, right?
Yeah.
And the conversion rate is like 10%, and you're saying that the ad doesn't work, but really the page doesn't work. Because think about it. If your conversion rate was 10% and say you're paying $5 a lead, well, if you increase your conversion rate from 10% to 20% without touching the ad campaign, your cost per lead was just cut in half without touching the ad campaign. So it's really figuring out what is the ultimate goal of this campaign, right? Am I selling a product? How much am I willing to pay to acquire this customer? Or how much am I willing to pay to acquire this lead? Or maybe my goal is just reach. I just want to reach a ton of people in my area to get the word out about my product or service. Yeah. So I think that's also what trips a lot of people up, right? They run a campaign on Facebook and they tell Facebook, I want to optimize for reach. That's what's important for this campaign. And then they're like, Molly, I'm not making any sales.
Well,
and I'm like,
why.
Oh, you told Facebook you wanted reach. So making sure that, the objectives you choose within the platform and then the success metrics that you're monitoring are in line with the goal of that campaign. It's very, very important.
Yeah, I totally understood. And what it comes down to is just realizing that there's a process to it. It's not every ad campaign doesn't have the same objective. And what I loved is when you came up with the idea of how to stack them together, use mini campaigns to achieve the ultimate objective, yes, of having more customers, etc. But there was a system to the whole process to developing a relationship. Could you review that for everybody? Because I know that was one of the most that decimated our cost per lead and made it so much better for us to go out there and do what we do.
Right. So back to the robots.
Yes.
Right. So back to the robots. People think that because buying traffic online, they're advertising online, that for some reason there are some robots out there that are just buying their product, right? They can just run an ad, hey, I've got this for sale, and that a bunch of people are going to buy. And that's flawed because say you own a shoe store. You're not going to run up to them with a pair of shoes, shove them in their face and say, hey, you want to buy this pair of shoes? Right? And if you do, you're probably going to freak them out. Right? So they're going to walk in and you're going to say, how's your day going? Right? Are you visiting town? You're going to make a conversation. You're going to ask if they need any help. You're going to give first before you try to make the sale. It's just like with dating, right? We use this example a lot at Digital Marketer because most businesses are harassing customers and their prospects, right?
Right.
They're going up to a woman at a bar and asking her to marry them, and they've never met before, right? And they think because it's the internet, for some reason this should work, and it doesn't. So you have to think about online marketing just like you would building a relationship. You would probably call someone and ask them to go to coffee first. You have a few dates, you get to know each other, you date, then you get engaged. Everyone has their own journey, right? But I'm saying typically most humans need to get to know each other a little bit before you go for some kind of sale. So if you can think about your traffic campaigns that way, you will win. So, it's really kind of 3 steps. How am I running an ad that first introduces myself to this market and gives them some sort of value, right? How can I teach them something? How can I make them laugh? How can I make them feel like they're a part of something? That's why a lot of commercials you see on TV aren't just, look at this cool product, you should buy it. Right? Commercials try to make you laugh. They make you like that brand. They make you like that person. They make you like that company. Online marketing is the same way. And after you show them that ad, then you can work further down the customer journey. Then maybe you ask them to, if they'll give their contact information in exchange for something valuable, right?
Yes.
A coupon, some sort of PDF, some sort of template, something that's going to educate them further or help them further, something that they see as valuable. And then you can run an ad to them that says, hey, do you want to buy this? Right? But most people are assaulting their customers, right?
Assaulting.
Hey, you want to buy this, $1,000 product. And it's like, no, I don't even know who you are. So yeah, I think it's a concept that is easy to grasp once you hear it, and it seems simple, but it's so important.
Yeah, and for those of you in the real estate world, I asked her that specific question for you. This is my plea. Please stop the Facebook ad expecting that someone's going to buy your $100,000 house directly from the Facebook ad. If you do nothing else, please do that.
Yes. I mean, even look at like what Zillow does, right? Their ads aren't, hey, do you want to buy this house? Unless you've been on that particular page, right? They're asking, hey, do you want to opt in for this estimate? Right? Hey, look at this piece of content, tips about, tips that you need to know before buying a house. They're giving value first before they're like, hey, there's this $500,000 house. You seem like you're interested.
Totally. You're on Facebook. You must want a house.
You must want a house. Yeah.
No. And that was by far one of the most transformational things I know for us. It changed, like I said, decimated our cost per lead. In fact, on one of our most recent campaigns where we were executing this strategy, we were able to generate leads for $1.20 to $1.60, which is absolutely unheard of in our industry for the dollar value of products and things that we represent and do. And I'm just almost amazed at how simple it feels today, but I definitely am very, very grateful for the things that you shared and how to make all those things happen. Now, a lot of the conversation that we've had thus far has been all focused on for-profit entities, etc. And I guess my question becomes, is there a nonprofit that's listening? Is there a way for them to benefit from the same strategy? And what are some of the things that you guys have done that have been not necessarily for profit, but a ways to still use digital and online marketing to get the word out?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've started to create some cool little funny videos that we use, right? So one of them is about ending the war between sales and marketing. And it's we're basically trying to resonate with anyone that might be on a sales or marketing team or own a company, anyone that would understand that in most organizations that have both of those teams, they usually don't like each other. Right. So it's absolutely ridiculous. And we shot it in the office and it's silly. And basically it's in a funny way demonstrating that these two teams historically do not like each other, but that there is an answer, and it's really about training both of them on the same material. And it, which makes sense when we follow up about, our products that we sell. So it's really easy. Even, I mean, we've been doing little SlideShare videos that are, 5 ways to use Facebook to grow your local business. And we run that to local business owners, and they're like, oh, who are these digital marketer people? They're pretty smart, right? They're pretty smart. I wonder what other information they have. And then when we start to retarget them and ask for their email address, or we ask them to buy one of our courses, they're more likely to do so because they've already gotten value from us.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I definitely love about the fact is once you build that audience, once you build that relationship, there's an untold number of things that can become possible, but that investment must be made on the front end. It's like there's laws to relationships, and you figured out how to do them in an online fashion. What would you say then, outside of assaulting the customers? What would you say is like the number one thing you see entrepreneurs, the number one mistake that you still see them making today that you're like, man, if they just knew this, it would change the way that they either view online marketing or the amount of success that they're having?
Absolutely. I think it's really about creating hooks and creating good offers. So all of this traffic advertising stuff doesn't matter if you don't have something to sell that people actually want. And not only selling something that people want, but the way you explain that thing through your ad copy and all of your marketing materials, it's not good enough to just say, hey, this thing is here. Right? You really have to tap into why do people want that thing. So we talk about the before and after state. So how is this person's life going to be different after they consume your product than it was before? Right? And you're probably, well, my product doesn't help them lose weight or run a marathon. No, every product, right? You're selling razors. And it's like, hey, Jay, this razor's so great. It's going to cut 5 minutes off of your day, right?
Right.
That's a good after state. You're like, okay, yeah, I want those 5 minutes back. That's awesome. I mean, hey, this water, right? This water, it's so, it's so pure. It's so good that after you drink it, you're going to have a clearer mind, right? I'm just making this up. There's a water bottle here. But going to really make the point that everything that you're selling, whether it's a product, service, if it's a house, how are you describing the after state that person will feel if they take whatever action you're wanting them to take? It's not good enough to just say, this is here, you should buy it. Right. And that's the biggest mistake I see people make. They just don't put in the time to really create that marketing message, to create that hook. And that's why things aren't working.
Got it. Makes perfect sense. Now, recently, because I've managed to be a part of the Engage group, I know there's a campaign that you guys have been running and a contest that you guys have got going on. And what I like about it is that it uses a lot of the same techniques, but yet at the same time, it has a completely different purpose. What I would love for you to do is to share with everybody what I think is the most ingenious way to use digital marketing and leverage the assets that we can build in an online platform. But I think it would inspire a number of people if you actually told the story behind, and more importantly, how they can use this for something other than just, profit for themselves.
Absolutely. So, I can really start with the story about Jeff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So I have a childhood friend that I grew up with. His name's Jeff. He was an all-state football player, really great athlete, wonderful person. And unfortunately, in 2009, he was in a car wreck and it left him paralyzed from the waist down. And I remember when it happened thinking, wow, I can't imagine, right? It was kind of a fallen hero story. Luckily, since then, Jeff's gone on with his life. He has a son now who's never known him outside of the wheelchair, which is crazy to think about, right? But Jeff's gone on with his life. He works in the insurance business. He's always smiling. He lives in Kentucky. I saw him over Thanksgiving. But Jeff has gone on with his life, but he never lost hope at walking again, which is incredible because it's been 8 years now. And luckily, there's a new opportunity for him. So he just qualified for a surgery in Thailand. And when he gets this surgery, there's 100% chance that he will regain feeling in his legs.
Wow.
Which is crazy. I mean, can you imagine not feeling your legs for 8 years and then you wake up and there it is?
Right.
And there's an 80% chance that he'll actually be able to walk after this surgery, which is even more crazy, right?
Wow.
So the only thing standing between, Jeffrey and walking pretty much right now is $92,000 is the cost of this whole deal. So I was thinking about this, and he set up a GoFundMe page, and everyone from where I grew up is trying to help. And I'm thinking, I know I can leverage the community digital marketers built. I know I can leverage online marketing skills to raise this money for Jeffrey. Like, how can I help? So what we have done, we actually created a contest because I didn't want to say, hey, just go donate to Jeff, right? We have lots of generous people and they would have donated, but I want to get the biggest bang for our buck. I want to raise $92,000. I don't want to raise $9,000, right?
Right.
So we created a contest, and for every $20 that individuals donate, right? So you can donate as much as you want, but every $20 that you donate, you are entered to win a full consultation, a full one-on-one training day with Ryan Dice, the CEO and co-founder of Digital Marketer, and myself to work on your business. So you can come to Austin. We could do it over Skype. Whatever is best for you. We can work through your selling strategies. We can set up ads for you, really whatever you're interested in and your business. We can work on that specific to you. So this day is all about you. There's also an option if you donate $7,500 or more to automatically win a strategy day with me. So we've had a few people donate that large amount, which has been awesome. So right now we're at $40,000. So we're almost halfway there. We do have other promotional, other promotions planned to really get the word out about this. But any help that can be given is absolutely appreciated, whether it's entering the contest and donating, buying a day outright, or if you have a big audience, right? Distributing this to your audience. The more people that we can get involved, the better. So I know we will raise this money for Jeffrey. It's just, how long is it going to take?
Yeah. And what I like about that is oftentimes it's easy to see how, yes, we can go get more customers. But I know that a number of people, they get into business not necessarily just because they want to take care of themselves, but we have a passion, a desire to take care of other people sometimes, and being made able or having something that you can donate in certain ways totally makes a difference. And I just wanted everybody to hear that, one, because I was moved by the story, but two, to see that there are many ways to use the skill set once you have it. And you started from like no skill set to skill set.
Yeah. And any way we can use those powers for ultimate good, I mean, there's nothing more rewarding. So thank you guys.
Yep. So with all of that being said, I mean, I'm sure the people that have listened thus far, they're like, dude, I want to know more about this Molly and digital marketer, and I want my business to double. What's going to be the best way for them to find out what you guys have going on, catch up with you, and begin to understand what they need to do?
Yeah, we would love to have you over on digitalmarketer.com. There are lots of resources. We have a podcast that talks a lot about running ads. We have a blog that's wonderful, lots of great contributors. We're always putting content up there at least twice a week. On the homepage, you'll notice there There's a place where you can request an invite to join our community. We have a product called Digital Marketer Lab that also comes with a Facebook group, over 10,000 people in there. We're in there answering questions and posting cool stuff. So, just really check out our website, check out the blog, check out the podcast. And if you are wanting more, definitely become a part of our community.
Awesome. So as we wind down here, I've got one more question for you, and I think your answer is going to be interesting for sure. So let's pretend for a moment that someone listening, they're on the edge. They think they want to become this entrepreneur. They think they actually want to make this thing happen and for reals this time. However, in the back of their mind, they have this voice. And I know you've done battle with this voice. It's that voice that comes up every time they're thinking about doing something great. They're just like, man, it's that voice that says, who am I? How can you dare think? Do you honestly think anybody's going to buy your product? Why on earth should you even start? You're going to make content. No one's going to read it. And for some people, they're actually related to that voice. So my question to you is, let's pretend that in the person listening, that in the next 24 to 48 hours, they're actually going to follow through and do what you suggest. What would you suggest that they do?
I would suggest that they launch an ad to people who have never heard of them before, and they don't ask them to do anything. So they set up some sort of ad. Maybe it's a video ad on Facebook where you are just giving value, right? Show someone how to do something cool, right? Show them how to do a quick little remodel in their home, right? Give them some sort of value and see what types of responses you get. I think that's the best thing you can do is launch something. Wow. I absolutely do. I think it's launch something, and it's going to be confusing and it's going to be hard, but you're going to overcome a big hurdle that you don't even know is there, right? The act of actual implementation. And that ad will probably not do anything for your business, but what it's going to do is it's going to help you overcome that huge block in your brain that says, I'm never actually going to do this stuff.
Right. Wow. I love it. I knew it was going to be interesting. I did not expect that. Because I'm like, what? Yes. All right. Hey, but I get the benefit of it. I get it. I agree. Not enough people are in the implementation stage, so I definitely appreciate it. And I appreciate everything that you guys are doing at Digital Marketer. I appreciate the fact that you are willing to pass down that information and share it with so many. And thank you for taking the time to share your knowledge, insight, and wisdom here with us today at the Cashflow Diary.
Thank you, Jay. And thanks everyone for listening. And I hope you have a good day.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for you to move at the speed of instruction. What does that mean? That means get over to digitalmarketer.com, but more importantly, remember, we can use this power, this social media, this online marketing. We can use our power for good. So go over to digitalmarketer.com/Jeff because you know you were moved by the story. And hey, if you haven't done your good deed for today, this would be it. And then right after that, just go launch something because it'll be fun. It's been fun talking to you guys today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.